Hello, the Pioneer viewers. How are you doing? I hope you're all healthy and well. We're back on your screen to bring you the Russian-Ukrainian war. Today, we will examine the latest developments regarding the war in detail. The fight between the Russian army and the Ukrainian army continues. The mobility of the front line is also really exciting. The Ukrainian army is fighting a very serious struggle to repel the Russian army. Ukrainian troops fighting for the end of the Russian occupation are the fearful dreams of the Russian troops on the front line. We have the opportunity to mention this in our previous reports. A silence have prevailed on the Kherson front line. This silence has been broken. The clashes between Ukrainian troops and Russian troops intensified on the Kherson front line. Russian troops are trying to repel the positions of the Ukrainian army around the Dnipro River. However, they're not having much success. We will analyze more details in our reports in a moment. So what is happening on the front line? Let's analyze the developments together. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss the daily map reports prepared by the Pioneer team and our reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos that prepares and present reports under difficult conditions. Let's start, if you're ready, the Pioneer reports. We start by analyzing the developments on the Kherson front line. The most decisive aspect of the Kherson front line is the natural structure of the region. As we've mentioned in our previous reports, the Dnipro River serves as a natural border between the two armies. In addition, the Delta islets clusters around the Oleshki were a disadvantage for the dominant side. In the past days, Ukrainian troops made a sudden raid and landed on the east bank of the Dnipro River, and during this landing, Russian troops suffered heavy losses. In addition, during these attacks of the Ukrainian troops, the bridgehead of the Ukrainian army in the region was further expanded. Let's put it this way. The bridgehead of the Ukrainian army has expanded. And what does this mean? Of course, it means a threat to the Russian army. The Russian army needs to eliminate this threat. Therefore, Ukrainian positions in the region are subjected to intense artillery shelling. However, this bombardment has not affected the Ukrainian army much because, according to the latest reports, Ukrainian troops still have not stopped their attacks. According to the latest reports, Ukrainian troops are trying to break through the Russian defense line on the eastern bank of the Dnipro River near Poima and Peshanovka with artillery support. Here we see that the Russian armed forces are trying to stop the Ukrainian troops with long-range artillery. However, there is no result. Despite massive shelling, the Russian troops are unable to stop the attacks of the Ukrainian troops. When we analyze the capacity of the Ukrainian assault troops in the region from this point of view, we can say that a very strong unit is serving in this region. Considering this only as a guess, perhaps the Ukrainian army may have shifted its strong unit serving on the Zaporizhia front line to the Kherson region. Based on the progress in the Zaporizhia, we can say that the prediction is kind of correct. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units targeted Ukrainian armed forces in Kherson, Antonovka, Pridniprovskoye, and Tyaginka. Ukrainian artillery units targeted Russian armored forces positions in the Yelenovka, Novodoryovka, and Sevastopol on the territory of Crimea, which is part of the Kherson front line. I would like to continue by analyzing the latest situation in the Robotny sector of the Zaporizhia front line. As I mentioned in the assessment of Kherson, the advance of the Ukrainian army has slowed down. But of course, it has not stopped. The pressure of the Ukrainian artillery on the Russian positions is still very high. Therefore, artillery activity alone is inflicting heavy losses on the Russian army. The focal points of the Ukrainian army's offensive are Kopanin, Stryonka, Novoprokopivka, and Verbov. As you know, these three regions are interconnected. The Ukrainian troops are carrying out attacks in these three regions and trying to encircle Russian troops in different encirclement. In the Verbov direction, the Ukrainian army has the goal of overhanging behind the Russian positions. The realization of these overhang targets is of great importance for the Ukrainian army's advance. If the Ukrainian army realizes this overhang, we have to say that a new era will begin on the Zaporizhia front line. However, there is still time. Ukrainian troops need to advance a little further. Today, we will not discuss developments in the Wuhldar sector of the Zaporizhzhia front line because there have been no reports from our sources in the region about the Wuhldar sector. We can accept this as a calm in Wuhldar. Let's continue with the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. As you know, the Ukrainian army has a very strong defense line on the Donetsk front line. This defense line has really turned into a nightmare for the Russian army. Russian troops are constantly trying to advance. Many Russian soldiers and Russian armored vehicles are being destroyed. But what has the Russian army achieved? Only a few square meters of territory. From this point of view, we can say that the reactions against the Russian war leadership is justified. Many casualties by a small piece of land. What would you think if you were a Russian citizen or if you had a relative serving as a Russian soldiers? I'm waiting for your answer to this question. As for the developments in the region, Russian troops supported by long-range weapons continue to attack Marinka, but there is no results. The border between the two armies has not changed. Russian troops are carrying out similar actions in Severnoye area and near Avdiivka coke factory on the northwestern outskirts of the city. The Ukrainian army, on the other hand, is carrying out tactical retreats in the region. In terms of artillery activity, Russian artillery units targeted Ukrainian positions in Novomykhailovka, Pobeda, Georgiivka, Krasnogorovka, Natoilov, and Yasnoborodovka, Lastochkin, and Karamika. Ukrainian artillery units targeted Russian positions in the villages of Ostromelivka, Donetsk, Vyatnoe, Opidny, and Krasnogorovka. Let's continue with the Bakhmut front line. The Ukrainian army continues its offensive to expand its position south of Bakhmut city center. As you know, the Ukrainian army has no control over only 2 points in the region. These are the Kordomoivka and Ozornivka region. Recent reports shows that the Ukrainian army has carried out serious operation against Kordomoivka. In the coming days, we can talk about the advance of the Ukrainian army in this region. We also see that the Ukrainian troops are trying to advance behind the railway lines near Andreevka and Klishchivka. Time is running out for the Russian army in this region. We see that Russian troops are carrying out attacks north of Bakhmut city center. However, the dense Ukrainian defense in the area did not allow the Russian troops to advance. So what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will advance further in Kherson? How will the conflict in the region take shape? What are your opinions on the current situation of the Russian troops? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.